Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Maurice. If you stumbled onto this channel, well, welcome. But if you've been following my little journey, photography journey over the last few videos, I wanted to give you guys an update on my Micro Four Thirds journey. I grew up as a film photographer. In fact, here's my film camera right here, my FM2, Nikon FM2, which this is like my dad's camera. This is like my family camera. This went on every vacation growing up. And then right out of high school, I decided to, get into photography. One of my best friend's brother was a wedding photographer, and started doing weddings with him and shooting film and medium format. And then, years later, we got into digital, but I've always shot either APS-C Nikon and then full frame Nikon. And then more recently, a few years ago, switched over to the Sony mirrorless systems, full frame, the A7 IV. And in that video, I talk a little bit about that and my decision to kind of not really dip my toe, but just jump into Micro Four Thirds. But I wanted to give you guys an update. So if you haven't seen that video, please check it out, watch it, come back here, and then enjoy this update. Sometimes the tool that you're using, even though it's like an amazing tool in your hand, it checks off all the boxes. Like it has all the megapixels and all the specs and all the things that you technically need to get the best end result. But if it's not fun, then what's the point? Then it's not the right tool if it's not fun. Photography is, to me at least, I think it's something that you're capturing a moment, or you're creating something beautiful, or you're just looking at something from a different point of view so that someone will see your images and see the beauty, or see the difference, or see how unique it is, even though it's something that they might have seen, but you captured it in a different way, whether it's the colors, the composition, all that stuff. So even though I went out and I got myself the Olympus E-M5 Mark II, it's a camera from 2014. I did a video about all the little accessories that I've done, so you can go back and watch. Somebody commented, well, you're picking a camera just because of the way it looks, or rather than what it does. And I see what their point was, but if it's not something that you find interesting or appealing, then you're not going to pick it up and you're not going to use it. Whether it's this camera, this Micro Four Thirds camera, or a Panasonic Micro Four Thirds camera, or maybe just a small APS-C camera, or even like maybe a point and shoot camera like the Samsung NX Mini, which is a camera that I featured on this channel, that I did a comparison as far as video quality, and I shot a couple videos using that camera on this channel. But as far as images, you can get a pretty nice photo with those, and it's about like the convenience of it. So one thing that I have found is that even though this is smaller than walking around with an A7 IV or any other full frame camera with big lenses and all that stuff, even though this is smaller, and I tried to make it as convenient as possible by having like the little wrist strap, getting this little grip so I could be walking around with it, and and kind of like, sometimes it's dangling like this, and when I see a picture, I can quickly turn it on and look in the viewfinder and try to adjust my settings as quickly as possible and get the photo. One thing that I've realized also is that, and this is, I don't know if this is just me, please let me know in the comments as a photographer, does this affect you also? But like sometimes even this is not quick enough or small enough. And sometimes it's just easier to just grab your phone and get the picture with your phone. So that's still, I feel like, an obstacle in the, I don't know what you call it, like the minimalistic, wanting to just be creative, make images out in the field, out and about doing life, but making it convenient and easy, but fun, and to be creative at the same time. So even that has been a little bit of a struggle with this camera. And I don't think it has to do with this camera, although there are some quirks to this that I'm going to get into. I think it's just, I've gotten so used to taking photos with my phone. When it comes to work, at, my job, I'm at events and I'm shooting, taking portraits, and I have time to take those photos, and it's like, it's work. But when I'm out and about with my family, like, I want it to be quick and easy. and still be able to like be creative and get that creative shot. I'm struggling a little bit with that idea of, you know, even though I got this because it's small and convenient, more convenient than a full frame, there's still some obstacles that you have to overcome, is what I'm trying to say. So with that, I'll get into some of the things that this camera, there's a little bit of quirks. Now, one thing that I notice about this camera and that I keep doing is I keep accidentally leaving it on. And so when I go back to grab it and I'm like, oh, it's already on, I have to like go in here and like half press the shutter and kind of like wake it up. And with this lens, you have to like unpancake it in order for the camera to work. Otherwise, you get an error message in the screen. And then, you know, once you're there, okay, you know, you can do that. But, and I guess it's because of the age of the camera. Like sometimes this camera is really slow at waking back up, and really slow at like, you know, just getting the shot, put the camera down and you pick it up again. And I don't know, I don't know if I have to go into the menu and maybe change a setting so that it doesn't go to sleep so fast. I don't know how that's gonna affect the battery life, or if it's just the way it is, but I have noticed that even like maybe, I don't know if the lens is not just, sometimes the lens is not as quick to focus as I'm used to. And these are just things that I have to get used to. Another thing that I've noticed with this camera in particular is, you know, the buttons on the back, there's no joystick. It's just like a pad, up, down, left, right. And that's what you use to move the focus point. It's really like just now, look, I'm just picking it up and it just took a couple seconds for me to see the image, for it to like wake up. And even there, like I have to like move the focus thing, and then I got it. And then I go back, half press the shutter, and then there it is. I can get the shot. I don't know. Those are just little things that I have to get used to with this camera. I don't know if as far as the speed of the autofocus or the camera itself, if that's something that I have to play around with in the settings. But I do find myself leaving the camera on a lot. And despite that, I think the battery life of this camera is not bad at all, considering I keep leaving it on. Yeah, so anyway, that's just a little quirk of the camera that, and a little like life of a dad photographer that I wanted to kind of talk about or mention at least. So if you got any of that, let me know in the comments below if you kind of get what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm just complaining or if this is like a legit complaint, but it's been a little bit of a tricky transition. And I think that's always going to be the case when you move from one camera to another. It's just kind of getting used to the buttons and the feel and all that stuff. Like, I feel like that's part of this process of acclimating myself to this camera. Like, I love shooting with this thing. It's new, and that's probably part of it. It's new, so it feels exciting. I did go out and recently take a bunch of photos. I had like this camera on a strap, and then I had my A7 IV, and I was trying to take like the same exact photo, one with this camera and one with the A7 IV. And, you know, so I'm working on that video right now where I'm going to try to go through the images that I took and kind of, so you can see on the screen, like comparison. But it was kind of an interesting exercise just to see the images, the side by side is kind of interesting. So stay tuned for that. But now, one major update that I wanted to kind of let you guys in on that have been following me through this journey is I found this guy on the interwebs. This is made by Fotasy, 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 and this is a Micro Four Thirds to Nikon mount adapter. And what's kind of cool about this is, so basically, if I take the lens off the Olympus here, set that aside, this guy will fit right on here. If I can find the little thing, it snaps right in, locks right in, and now I can take my Nikon. This is a 50 millimeter. Let's take the lens cap off. This is a 50 millimeter 1.8 Nikon. This is a nifty, an old school nifty 50, fully manual. I can put this guy in here, and that locks in. And now now it's like I'm shooting complete manual, but I can still look through the viewfinder, the EVF here, and really sit here, and I can basically see a preview with the f-stop. I can see what's happening. I can do my manual focus there. It is pretty cool. It really makes the camera look even more like this FM2. I mean, like, if this is not, like, this is interesting. In fact, I'm gonna do this real quick. I'm gonna put the lens cap on. Okay, so that's a thumbnail. But yeah, like, look at that. It's like, it's making this Olympus even more like my Nikon FM2. It does add some weight because this is now like kind of heavy, but like I have this 50, I have the here on this my film camera. This has the, what is this now? This is the 35 2.8, and I also have this guy. This is a 105 2.5 f2.5 Nikon lens. Yeah, this is a 105. This is an amazing portrait lens. Like, this is awesome. So now I can put this on this guy and get some really cool portraits. So that's kind of cool that I can experiment even more and go out and do some kind of like manual photography, like, you know, manual focus, go out there and just, you know, but again, that sounds fun in theory, but it requires a little bit of dedication. And that's something that I'm kind of realizing, that I want to have fun with photography. But for me, like, my day to day when I'm out with my family, it's like, it's quick. It's quick. So one thing that I kind of realize now is that, like, what I need to do is find time where I can go out and really take my time to go out and just take photos and get creative with this setup. I kind of was under the delusion, I guess, that I was gonna get a Micro Four Thirds camera and just like go out and just have it on me all the time and just boom, boom, boom. And yeah, you can do that, but the way my brain works, when I'm out and about with my family, like there's no time. I have 3 boys, and when we're out, it's like there's no time for me to just like slow down and be like, hold on guys, let me just, you know, take this photo and like look at it's like, you know, if I don't move quick enough, I'm gonna miss it, or, you know, I gotta go, you know, my kids are calling me, or we gotta go do this, or we gotta go do that. And so I find that I'm going to have to, this is gonna take a little bit more dedication than I thought, which I foolishly thought, because really anything worth doing is worth doing right. And if you really want to have fun with photography, it's creative expression, it's art, you gotta make time for it. You gotta make time for it. You gotta go out and do it right. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of give this update on my Micro Four Thirds journey and kind of express a little bit of those ideas and some things that I've been encountering. If you found any of this useful, please let me know in the comments below. Your Micro Four Thirds journey as a photographer. Maybe you struggle a little bit with that. I've been a photographer for 20 plus years, and I still feel like I'm learning, and I still sometimes struggle with imposter syndrome, and you know, that's me. I don't know, like, is that something that you guys feel sometimes, where you've been into photography for so long and yet you still feel like you're a newbie? You still feel like you're just getting it, or I mean, I guess it's great to learn something new all the time in this journey, but man, sometimes it just, yeah, it's interesting. So this was just an interesting thing that just kind of came up as I've been using this camera over the course of this last month. So if you haven't seen my video where I kind of ramble and introduce this whole idea of Micro Four Thirds for me and my kind of journey through this, I encourage you to watch that video. There's a couple more videos on there. I did a really cool like comparison video, because this is also kind of like my little YouTube desk here, and that I'm going to be using a lot through this journey. And right now I'm shooting on the Sony A7 IV. So the video quality is probably amazing, but I have shot on my little Samsung NX Mini. I've shot on this guy, the video quality on this, and I've compared the video quality of all these videos. You can check that video out as well. I was trying to make this video short and it went long again, but hope you got something out of it. Please like and subscribe and check out some of my other videos. And if you want to see the comparison video, I'll link it right over here. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.